Hello, hello, my green skins, and this will be take two of a series of the movie Canadian Bacon. We had a fuck up and we had a technical issue, and it kind of burned out the first take. So we got to do we had a couple stops and stuff. So let's talk about this movie. All right, so what did you think of Canadian Bacon?
I thought it was hilarious. And because I like dry humor, and this is what you get with John Candy. Dry
Yeah.
humor. He despite the way he looks, he does not rely on his weight. He does not rely on falling down. The big dumb clumsy oaf. He doesn't do that.
He doesn't do that often. It happens occasionally. Like there are occasional times he uses them. Like, and again, Bill. We were talking about another Bill Murray movie before this, but the Bill Murray movie Stripes, um, which has Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, and John Candy in it. Which we should actually. I didn't want to do it for Bill Murray month because it's literally more about. I was sorry for John Candy month. It's because we really didn't want to do. It's not really a John Candy movie. It's a Bill Murray movie. And maybe we'll do that for Bill Murray month. So, what did you think of this movie's music?
I think uninspiring. Like what music?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they did play a couple of licensed songs, but they were country, and I'm not a fan of country. So
Yeah.
one ear out the other.
Yeah, there are some funny moments in this movie, and for that, the music is not one of it. Now, what did you think of the acting of this movie? Because that's where this movie's great. Like this movie, the acting in this is really fucking funny. Well, what do you think of I've kind of said my piece. What do you think about it?
John Candy doesn't, like I said, doesn't rely on slapstick. He relies on dry humor, which means he has to
Mm.
act. He's not playing around. He's not being a total bumbling idiot. So
Yeah,
even though he is an idiot, he's not acting like it. He's a guy who thinks he's in the right, so he's acting. So he's behaving as a
yeah,
delusional guy would.
mm.
Like
And there's a lot of actors in this movie. There's a lot of comedians in this movie. You got John Candy. You got what's her face from Cheers. I can never remember her name. God damn it! We should have looked that name up. Uh, there's her. There's two. There's Dan Aykroyd is in this movie again, and this is him playing a police officer. There
very
are
tiny part.
so it's a very tiny part, but it's still a part. You have like four or five Canadian actors that are in this movie. Like it made me laugh because I think a friend of mine said it best. He said this is literally an American making a satire of American life with with a Canadian with an all Canadian cast. I guess he's kind of right. If you think about it, it is pretty much an all Canadian cast doing an American movie, and which makes the movie really good. Like all around, the cast is great. And now we're gonna get to the big one, the story. And this movie, man, does this movie have a funny story? What did you think of the story, Dark?
It is preposterous, but for a comedy, it's good. So
It's a satire. It's a pure satire if you actually think about it, and it's a very dark comedy. Like this is not a lighthearted comedy. This is the reason it's kind of funny. A friend of mine said it.
yeah,
Another friend of mine. We were talking about it when we were watching this movie with a buddy of mine, and he said, John, like where Uncle Buck is just mean spirited, a lighthearted, mean spirited moments. This movie's just mean. Like there is very little to any lighthearted moments in this movie.
yeah. So basically, the story is basically the president of the United States. It's 1995. The president of the United States is not getting favorable reviews and ratings and or his popularity is
His
diminished.
polls, the
His polls,
popularity and the polls are
yeah.
falling. Yeah.
So and he feels like the reason is because he doesn't have America's not at war with anyone at that point, or at least there's no
Mm,
Cold War, no tension. So
mm.
there's no one. He has nothing to raise his popularity. So he attempts to
Yeah.
create a fake one, except against Canada, because they're right on the
Yeah.
border. They're right next to America, and that spirals into some ridiculous
Hijinks.
hijinks, which causes
John Candy
John
to lash
Candy's
out.
character to act upon this thing, and that further screws everything
Further,
over.
further screws everything over where you might actually have a real war, which is what America doesn't want. And another funny one was, like I said, meanwhile, while this is happening, there's this evil gun lobbyist like making all these horrible weapons. He wants to basically make an actual war, and he wants America to pay for it. He wants to pay. He wants to get a lot of money out of this. So he's decided that he gave Canada a secret, like, this weapon that they could basically take control of all of Americans' nukes. So he basically gives it to them, then activates it so they can't get, of course, the Americans can't get to it, and he's just going to sit back and watch everything go up. And meanwhile, John Candy, takes this wholeheartedly because he's an American sheriff, and he turns his city into a militia state. And it's fucking hysterical. You got, like, again, and everyone in this movie is over the top. Like, you got the crazy over the top gun, like, general. You got the Kota, the lobbyist, aka Secretary of Defense. You have the evil corporate thing. You got the stupid as fuck president. You got all these people that are fundamentally just awful in every which way, and it's just kind of funny because it's just so over the top. And it just, what also makes it funny is that this is a Michael Moore movie, which in its own right is over the top. If you've heard Michael Moore talk about stuff lately, and I'm just like, wow, yeah, this is a hysterical movie. And I don't know, Dark. Anything else? Do you want to bring up any moments that you liked about this movie?
I really like the scene when they sent in the Omega Force, which earlier they said we
Oh
can't use them
yeah,
on white people, but they had to send them anyway.
yeah,
And one of them trips and breaks their ankle or twists their ankle, so his teammate just shoots him too because he's slowing him down.
yeah,
It's so
yeah.
dumb.
They're slowing him down.
I love
It,
this.
it, it's
I
it,
love how I love how John Candy at the is going up the tower, in
yeah,
and only going up the stairs, only to find out at the end. Hey, let's take the elevator down.
yeah. Oh, what I love is there's that scene where they're all talking to each other, and they do, like I said, this movie also has a little bit, like, this movie would not be made today. Like, there's no fucking way. One, and there's some big old racism in this movie. One of my favorite racist moment is where where they have John Candy, and John Candy's like, no, not John Candy. It's one of his buddies. I think he deputizes one of his friends, and there's a scene where this guy who's deputized turns and says to the black guy, "Hey, why aren't there that many black hockey players?" And the guy says, "Look, it takes a while for us to get into control of all the white people sports to run them." I just like, what?
And
It's
at the
just
end of
like,
the
oh,
movie, they do this thing where there's a text on what happens to each character, and
mm-hmm.
he's apparently taken over. He becomes the best player in hockey player in Canada of all time.
Yeah, he's like a free three-time VIP, and he's up there with that I think that's up there with what's his face there, shit. what's the name of the movie? He's up there with Wayne Gretzky because I think that's like Wayne Gretzky got that. So it's like that is the greatest hockey. That is apparently the greatest hockey player of all time, and it's just like that is fucking funny. Here's John Candy. Like I said, like everything about this movie is just right fucking dark.
It's
Like
a product of
there's
its
that.
time.
Oh yeah, like well, I wouldn't even say it's a product of its time. I just think it's just overly dark. Like there's this one scene where John Candy, they have like the interludes of everybody. One of his friends disappears. No one knows what happens to him. The other friend becomes a hockey player, and then they have the general, like the gun-toting crazy general that wants to blow everything up and start a real war.
Oh God.
He, yeah, yeah. His fucking story thing is he kills himself because he finds out that Hogan's Heroes is not real. Like this is how crazy this movie is. Like this is, you know what this movie reminds me of? This reminds me of Gremlins 2. And
An unusual connection.
Gremlins, no, Gremlins 2 is fucking dark. Like really dark. And it's done in this dark satire. And that's what this reminds me of. Another movie it reminds me of is Big Trouble in Little China for its darkness. Like Big Trouble in Little China is just so fucking dark. It's funny as all holy hell. It's a great movie. You'll fucking laugh your ass off watching it. It's one of those awesome movies. And this movie has that level of dark, and it's funny dark. Like you just can't help but just chuckle when you're watching. It's like, what? Like what? Just what? Like you just can't help but laugh. And it's just one of those things where you're like, damn, they did such a good job. They did a really good job with this one. This one, surprisingly enough, I think this is probably one of the best. I think this is the best Michael Moore movie I ever saw. I can't think of another Michael Moore movie I really liked. And
I haven't seen many
I,
Michael Moore movies, but from what I understand, was this John Candy's last film that he before he died?
no, no, this is not his last film before he died. The last film he did bombed before he passed on.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a sad story. I really don't. We're not going to do that one. I kind of thought about it, and I said, I really don't want to do his last movie because John Candy was such a like. This is like in between his career. I think this might even be before Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which I think is his greatest movie, which we'll be doing next. What do you want to review? What do you want to give this movie a rating for?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
I think I'm going to give this one a 6.5 or a 6.9. It's to me the Great Outdoors I still think is a better movie just because the Great Outdoors is a little bit of a nostalgia boner, but I would say this movie's still fun to watch, and I would say as time goes on, this movie's getting a lot more relevant in some ways, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Um, really no complaints, right? Like I don't know if you feel the same way, but yeah, I had an absolute blast watching this.
Yeah, so did I. Oh
I knew
man,
you would like it.
but there's an end. But the ending was also great.
Yeah.
Hi- how I love how they're gonna go. He and Honey are gonna go back to America. Like Canada's all clean and America's all smug,
Yeah,
and
I
then
like that.
and as they're heading back, without realizing it, they're going right into Niagara Falls,
Yeah.
and
This
that's where the
movie's
movie
great.
ends.
Yeah, that's where this movie ends, and it ends with them saying that John Candy's character gets into his beloved, becomes a regular on the show Cops, which is either a really good thing or a real bad thing if you think about it. Becomes a regular on Cops.
I would watch that show.
I'd watch it too. All right, that's our review. The last one we're gonna do. We're gonna try to get this done before the end of the week. Hopefully, we can figure something out. Is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? I do believe this is his best movie, and that's a debate. But I do believe this is Planes, Trains, and Automobile is the one movie you have to see if you're a John Candy fan. So, thank you very much. Oh, go ahead.
We shall see. I mean, up
Thank
until
you.
this point, I still think Uncle Buck is his best.
I don't know. I would say Planes, Trains, and all because that movie's awesome. Great road trip movie. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you on the next review. And, you know, please like, sub, and subscribe. And you have yourselves a very good night. See ya.